Magandang araw mga bata! Ako si Ma'am Regine, ang teacher mo sa math. Today we will be learning about angle pairs. This is a lesson for grade 7 mathematics under quarter 3, lesson 2. Kaya tara na and let's do the math. An angle is a union of two non-collinear rays with a common vertex. We have already discussed angles in our lesson about measuring quantities under quarter 2, week 1 to 2. Meron na rin tayong video na ginawa about it, measuring quantities, at yung angle ay part 7. It's a part of an 8-part playlist, measuring quantities part 7 ang angles. I recommend that you check this video first bago kayo mag-proceed panoorin itong ating video about angle pairs. Because in this video about angles, we're able to discuss its basics. We have discussed the parts of an angle, naming an angle, types of angle, and measuring angles. For an overview for parts of an angle, we have the sides and the vertex. Say for instance, this is an angle. Ito yung kanyang vertex, yung common point. And then these are its two sides. Ito yung side 1 niya at saka side 2. These sides are raised and they can be extended. Yung kanilang length, they can be extended. Pero yung opening or yung measurement nitong opening niya, hindi yun magbabago kahit na mag-extend pa yung length ng ating raise. Yung opening, this is the angle. Now, for naming an angle, this is the symbol of an angle. We can name it in a few ways. First, pwede tayong gumamit ng single letter. We write it in a capital letter. Or pwede rin naman na gumamit tayo ng mga numbers. Or pwede rin naman tayong gumamit ng 3 letters, combination of 3 letters, wherein yung middle ay dapat kanyang vertex. For types of an angle, we have 3. We have acute angles, a right angle, and obtuse angle. Now, for measuring an angle, we have to use a protractor. We measure it using degrees. Degree is its unit of measurement, and its symbol is this. An acute angle measures more than 0 degree but less than 90 degrees. Right angle, its measurement is equal to 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. And an obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. So these are the basics of an angle. If we combine angles together, we may be able to form angle pairs. The first angle pair are adjacent angles. These angles have common vertex and a common side, but they do not overlap. We have this illustration, and these are the angles that we can form from this illustration. We have angle LEM, we also have angle MEN, and of course angle LEN. In this illustration, we're able to form 3 angles. 2 of them are adjacent to each other. They are an angle pair which are adjacent angles. And these 2 angles are angle LEM and angle MEN. Ito yung angle LEM at ito naman yung angle MEN. Adjacent angles sila. They have their common vertex, point E. Kung mapapansin natin sa kanilang mga pangalan, yung gitna ay E. It means that this point is its vertex. Ito yung kanilang common vertex, point E. Aside from having a common vertex, dapat meron din silang common side. And the common side is line EM or line ME. Ito yung common side nila. And as we can see, LEM and MEN, they are next to each other. Magkadikit lamang sila, but they do not overlap. Compared, say for example, to LEM and LEN, this is angle LEM. Ito naman yung LEN. Yes, they have a common vertex, point E. They also have a common side, LE. However, they overlap. Ito yung LEN at ito yung LEM. Angle LEM, ito ay nasa loob ng LEN. They overlap. For 2 angles to be adjacent to each other, 3 conditions must be met. Aside from having a common vertex and a common side, they must not overlap. Dapat magkadikit lang sila. They must be next to each other but not overlapping. Let's have another example. This is another illustration. These are the angles that we can form from this illustration. We have 4. We have angle BAC, angle CAD, DAE, and angle BAE. We have a few angles that are adjacent to each other. We have a few angle pairs here. First, we have angle BAC and angle CAD. Yung kanilang common vertex ay point A. And then their common side is line AC, or specifically ray AC, wherein yung A ay yung kanyang origin, ito yung symbol natin for array. Aside from having a common vertex and a common side, BAC and CAD, they also don't overlap. So these two are adjacent angles. Another angle pair, adjacent angles din ng angle DAE, at ang angle CAD. The common vertex is point A as well. And their common side is side AD or side DA. Side AD wherein it's array at yung kanyang origin ay point A. And as we can see, they are next to each other but they do not overlap. From this illustration, we can form 2 pairs of adjacent angles. Angle BAC and angle DAE are not adjacent angles because they may share a common vertex but they don't have a common side at all. And they are also not close to each other. So, hindi sila adjacent. Pag sinabing adjacent, dapat magkatabi. Angle BAE and DAE are also not adjacent angles because they overlap. Yung DAE ay nasa loob ng DAE. Dapat magkadikit lang sila para maging adjacent angles sila. Another angle pair is what we call complementary angles. These are angles that have 90 degrees as sum of their measures. If we have this illustration, we have 2 angles, angle 1 and angle 2. So this is angle 1 and this is angle 2. As we can see, yung kanilang mga measurement ay indicated. The measure of angle 1 is 60 degrees and the measure of angle 2 is 30 degrees. Ang sabi daw rito, para maging complementary angles ang dalawang angles, pag pinag-add natin yung kanilang mga measurement, we must get 90 degrees. So adding the measurement of angle 1 and 2 together, it must be equal to 90 degrees. Yung angle 1 natin ay 60, added to angle 2's measure, which is 30. 60 plus 30 is equal to 90 degrees. Therefore, angle 1 and 2, they are complementary angles. So, have another example. We have 2 angles, angle A and angle B. Ito yung ating angle A. Ang kanyang sukat ay 24 degrees, while angle B, ang kanyang measure ay 66 degrees. If we notice, compared doon sa ating complementary angles kanina, angle 1 and 2, angle A and B ay hindi magkadikit. Kaya tandaan natin mga bata na for complementary angles, hindi necessary na magkadikit siya. Okay lang kahit na magkahiwalay yung dalawang angles so long as the sum of their measures is equal to 90 degrees, they are still complementary angles. So adding them together, adding the measure of angle A and B, we must have it equal to 90 degrees. So, kaya naman 24 degrees plus 66 degrees is equal to 90 degrees. Therefore, angles A and B are complementary to each other. They are complementary angles. Another angle pair, we have the supplementary angles. These are angles that have 180 degrees as sum of their measures. Ang complementary angles ay 90 degrees, ang supplementary angles ay 180 degrees. Let's have an illustration. Supplementary angles, katulad din ng mga complementary angles, hindi kailangan na adjacent o magkadikit yung dalawang angles para maging supplementary sila. Kailangan lamang na kapag pinag-add natin yung kanilang mga sukat, dapat maging 180 degrees ito for supplementary. So for this illustration, we have two angles, angle 1 and angle 2. The measurement of angle 1 is 50 degrees, while the measure of angle 2 is 130 degrees. We need to add them together and then we must have 180 degrees. Kaya naman 50 degrees, ito yung measure ng ating angle 1 added to the measure of angle 2 which is 130 degrees. 50 plus 130 is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, angles 1 and 2 are supplementary to each other. Angles 1 and 2 are supplementary angles. Another example, this is an illustration. We have two angles, angle 1 and angle 2. Kung mapapansin natin, for this illustration, angle 1 and angle 2, they are next to each other. Magkadikit sila. For this example, the measure of angle 1 is 110 degrees, and for angle 2, its measure is 70 degrees. Again, for supplementary angles, it doesn't need that the two angles must be adjacent to each other. Pwede ring magkahiwalay sila, so long as the measure of the two angles is equal to 180 degrees. Adding them together, sukat ng ating angle 1 ay 110, added to the measure of angle 2, 70 degrees. 110 plus 70 is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, angles 1 and 2 are supplementary to each other. They are supplementary angles. Aside from being supplementary angles, this is also an example of a linear pair. Linear pairs are angles that are both adjacent and supplementary. So for this example of the supplementary angles, we may notice that they are next to each other, meaning adjacent sila sa isa't isa. This is their common vertex and this is their common side. So magkadikit sila, kaya adjacent angle sila. Aside from being adjacent angles, they are also supplementary because the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. Therefore, since this illustration is both adjacent and supplementary, this is also a linear pair. Let's have another example of angle pairs. We have vertical angles. These are the opposite angles formed when two lines intersect, and they are congruent. When we say congruent, these are angles having the same measurement. Ito yung ating example. Vertical angles are formed when two lines intersect. Ito yung unang line at ito naman yung pangalawang line. When two lines intersect, we're able to form four angles. And two of them are vertical to each other. We have angle 1, angle 2, 3, and 4. According to its definition, vertical angles are opposite angles. So dito sa ating illustration na ito, when two lines intersect, angle 1 is opposite to angle 4. Angle 2 is opposite to angle 3. Ang una nating angle pair dito ay angle 1 and angle 4. Sukat ng ating angle 1, as we notice, it's 40 degrees. At ang sukat ng ating angle 4 ay 40 degrees din. That is because vertical angles are opposite to each other and they have the same measurement. Therefore, angles 1 and 4 are vertical angles. Aside from 1 and 4, nabanggit din natin ang angles 2 and 3 kanina. Ang sukat ng ating angle 2 ay 140 degrees. At ang sukat ng ating angle 3 ay 140 degrees as well. Since they are congruent, they are opposite each other. Therefore, angles 2 and 3 are vertical angles. Let's have an activity using this illustration. Ito yung ating unang line. Ito ay line din at ito pa. We're able to form a few angles and some measurements. Based on this illustration, we have to name all the angles and determine the measure of each angle. Naming all the angles, we have angle A. We also have angle B, C, D, and E. So from this illustration, we're able to form 5 angles. Determining the measure of each angle, ang ating nakikitang sukat dyan na visible ay yung angle E. Angle E, ang kanyang sukat ay 135 degrees. Aside from angle E, nakikita rin natin ang sukat ng angle B. Nasaan ang sukat ng angle B? Seeing this box here, this refers to a right angle. Pag nakakita kayo ng ganitong symbol, isang angle na walang ini-specify na sukat, hindi nilagay na 90 degrees, pero nakikita nyo itong symbol na parang box. This is the symbol for a right angle. Therefore, if angle B is a right angle, then its measure must be exactly 90 degrees. So, meron tayong dalawang sukat, angle E and angle B. Aalamin naman natin yung sukat ng C, D, and A. Angle A is 45 degrees. Paano natin nakuha yung 45 degrees for angle A? If we notice, angle E and angle A, they are next to each other. And they are forming a linear pair. So, if angle A and angle E are linear pair, dapat, aside from being adjacent, they also must be supplementary. And supplementary angles, if we add them together, their measurement is equal to 180 degrees. Kaya naman, 180 minus 135, the answer is 45. If we add 135 and 45 together, we're able to get 180 degrees. Dahil A and E, both angles ay supplementary. They form a linear pair. Kung alam na natin yung sukat ng angle A, we're also able to know that angle D is 45 degrees. Bakit naman naging 45 degrees yung angle D? Because angles A and D are vertical angles. If A is equal to 45 degrees, then angle D must be 45 degrees as well because vertical angles are congruent. Pareho sila ng sukat. Lastly, angle C is equal to 45 degrees as well. Bakit naman naging 45 degrees itong ating angle C? That is because angle D and angle C, they are adjacent to each other. Magkatabi sila. If angle B is a right angle, 90 degrees ito. And then angle D is 45 degrees. Ito ay isang buong linya. Adding them together, dapat magiging 180 degrees ito. 90 degrees yung sukat ng ating angle B. Added to the measure of angle D, which is 45 degrees, 135 degrees, kulang pa tayo dito ng sukat pa ng angle C, which is 45 as well. Because 90 plus 45 plus 45, it's equal to 180 degrees. Angle C and angle D, when we combine them together, this is also a right angle. Kaya 90 degrees din ito. Kaya naman 45 plus 45, it's equal to 90. Using the same illustration, we need to name all the adjacent angles and the vertical angles. First adjacent angle natin ay angle B at angle C. This is their common vertex and this is their common side. They are next to each other, magkadikit sila, but they do not overlap. Another adjacent angle pair, angle C and angle D. This is their common vertex, common side, next to each other, but they do not overlap. Angle D and E, angle D, and angle E. This is their common vertex, their common side, magkadikit sila, but they do not overlap. We also have angle A and angle E. This is their common vertex, their common side. They are next to each other, they are adjacent, but they do not overlap. Lastly, we have angle B and angle A. This is their common vertex, common side. They are next to each other, magkadikit, but they do not overlap. So in this illustration, we're able to find 5 pairs of adjacent angles. For vertical angles, we have angles A and angle D. For vertical angles, these must be angles formed when 2 lines intersect. So ito yung 2 lines, ito yung first line, at ito naman yung ating second line. So they intersect, they meet in the middle, ito yung kanilang intersection point. Ito yung ating angle A, ito yung angle D. They are opposite to each other. So they are vertical angles. They are opposite to each other and their measurement must be congruent or equal. Yung angle A, ang sukat niyan ay 45 degrees. Ganun din naman ang sukat ng ating angle D. So angles A and D, they are vertical angles. Next, we need to name all the complementary angles. We have angle C and D. Ito yung angle C at ito naman yung angle D. The measure of angle C is 45 degrees and the measure of angle D is 45 degrees as well. We need to add them together. Make sure that it's equal to 90 degrees. 45 plus 45 is equal to 90. Therefore, angles C and D, they are complementary to each other. They are complementary angles. As mentioned earlier, angle C and D are also adjacent angles. Aside from being complementary angles, they are also adjacent angles. We also have another complementary angle pair, angle A. So, ito yung ating angle A. Ito naman yung ating angle D. Mapapansin natin, hindi sila magkadikit, magkalayo naman sila sa isa't isa. However, their measurement, A is equal to 45 degrees, D is equal to 45 degrees. If we add them together, their measurement is equal to 90. Therefore, kahit magkalayo yung angle A and D, sila ay complementary pa din dahil ang kanilang sum ng kanilang measurement ay 90 degrees. And as mentioned earlier, aside from being complementary angles, they are also vertical angles because they are opposite to each other. Another complementary angle pair is angle C and angle A. So magkalayo rin ito, hindi rin sila magkalapit sa isa't isa. Both of their measures are 45 degrees. If we add them together, 45 plus 45 is equal to 90 degrees. Angle C and angle A, they are not opposite each other. They are not vertical angles. So, okay lang ang complementary angle ay hindi adjacent. Okay lang na magkalayo sila. Okay lang din na ang complementary angles ay hindi opposite to each other or they're not vertical. So long as the sum of their measure is 90 degrees, two angles are complementary. Next, we have to name all the supplementary angles. Angle C and angle E. This is angle C. And this is angle E. We need to add their measurements. Angle C ay 45 degrees. At ang angle E ay 135 degrees. Adding them together, 45 plus 135 is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, angle C and angle E, they are supplementary to each other. They are supplementary angles. Another example, we also have angle A and angle E. We need to add their measures together. Angle A is 45 degrees and angle E is 135. Adding them together, 45 plus 135 is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, A and E, these angles are supplementary to each other. They are supplementary angles. We also have another example of supplementary angle pair, angle E and angle D. Adding their measurements together, angle E is 135 and angle D measures 45 degrees. Add them together, 45 plus 135 is equal to 180 degrees. Now, as we notice, aside from being supplementary angles, both these supplementary angle pairs are also linear pairs. That is because aside from being supplementary, so itong A and E ay 180 degrees yung sum, ganun din ang E and D. Aside from being supplementary, we also notice that they are next to each other. They are adjacent angles. So ito yung A and E, ito yung line na kanilang fina-form for linear pair. For D and E, ito naman yung line na kanilang na-form as a linear pair. So therefore, aside from being supplementary angles, both these angle pairs na supplementary angles, they are also linear pairs and they are also adjacent angles. And that's it for our video for today mga bata. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ang Teacher Mo sa Math, for more grade 7 mathematics content. Turn on the notification bell para updated kayo kapag may bago na tayong lesson na i-upload. You can also comment. Feel free to comment and share your opinions and ideas. You can also ask some questions. At syempre, don't forget to like and share this video para mas marami pa akong mga tulad mong grade 7 na bata ang maabot at maturuan. Dahil ako si Ma'am Regine, ang teacher mo sa math.